Welcome back, everyone. Tonight I have a review for Studio Series number 32, Optimus Prime. And if this toy looks familiar, it's because it's basically a rehash of Studio Series 5, Optimus Prime. More specifically, it's a retool of the original figure, which is meant to represent Optimus's appearance in the first Transformers movie, vice the Revenge of the Fallen movie that the first figure is based off of. But in a very bizarre twist, this toy is capable of combining with Leader Class Jetfire like Optimus did in Revenge of the Fallen. It's a little backwards, a little convoluted, but we shall get through this together. So first we'll get a good look at the box and the instructions, take a look at the toy itself in both the vehicle and robot modes, show him off with his display background, and especially going to compare him to the first version of this Voyager Optimus mold. Alright, so just kick back and enjoy this look at Studio Series 32. Alright, first we have the box, normal branding, Studio Series, got 32 with the artwork of Optimus, and he's wielding his ion blaster, which is his classic weapon, though the movie version looks quite a bit different than the old G1 version. On here, you got a close-up of his face. Big 32 on the side, Voyager class. On the back, just shows off his two modes. Shows that he takes 37 steps to transform. Then you got a cross-cell for old Bone Crusher there. And then on the side, you have another really nice render of Optimus. I think it is cool that they managed to put 3 different renders of the character on this package. Shows a nice amount of effort on their part. Instructions are standard fare, like gloss-free paper, nice clear images. I gotta say, they seem to have gotten better with the coloring of these in the time since they switched to regular paper instructions. A lot more clear. I just got all the steps here, right there. And little sneak peek at his transformation into Jetwing Optimus Prime. And then encouraging you to build the cast, also known as buy more toys. Alright, and here we have Optimus in his truck mode. You can see he has his ion blaster attached to the side here. Just plugs in via this little slot right there. So you can choose to have him carry that or not. Very good looking truck mode. I said this about the first version of the mold, I'll say it again. Very minimal robot kibble showing here. Looks, like it's actually a truck, not just a folded up robot there. So that's nice. The only thing that really takes you out of the experience a bit are the really tiny smokestacks, because of safety reasons. Makes the truck look a little silly. But if you're not really looking for it, it's not all too noticeable. And here's the first version of the toy, so you can see how the truck modes compare. And at first glance, it might seem like, oh, it's the same toy, different colors. And it's really not. One thing they did when they redesigned this toy is they very significantly changed a lot of the parts that are contained within this toy. So much so that it actually affects the transformation of the toy and how it all comes together. So you get to see that as you transform it, but let's highlight some key differences. So for this mode, the front mainly looks the same. Start noticing some differences down here along the bottom of the side there. These pieces are completely different. The tops are completely different. These rear wheels are built differently. Some changes to the parts here on the back. And underside looks more or less the same, minus some different arm parts here. Like I said, the first thing that pops out about these two as far as difference is the color. One thing that people criticized the first Optimus toy for was that the colors just seemed too dark. they didn't feel very accurate to how he looked in the movies. Which, I mean, I think I know what they were going for when they colored it the way they did. To give it this kind of reflective quality, but I think it just didn't work as well in execution, and he really does feel too dark. And then they came out with this guy who has a much brighter, more saturated color scheme, and then people complained it was too light. Now, personally, I think this actually looks really close to the movie design. I think people were going off of the CGI renders for this toy when they were making their judgment, because the renders do make this toy look a lot lighter in color than it actually is. The actual product, I find, is quite accurate. It doesn't quite have the shiny reflective quality that this one does, but overall I feel this pulls it off a little better. You can make out the details just a little bit better. You know, they really stand out more. I like I think the silver looks a lot better too. A lot more accurate. Alright, let's go ahead and transform this guy into his robot mode. First thing I'm going to do, remove the weapon if you haven't already, set it aside. And we are going to start with the legs. I feel it's just kind of the best place to start this transformation. So, you want to separate them a little bit. Separate the feet, like so. These feet are on these kind of panels that are going to swing down. So you're kind of simultaneously straightening the shins and the ankles at the same time. Do it here, like so. These front wheels, you're gonna swing them down, detach them from the front of the truck like that. Now this part, I'm gonna lift off there and there. Swing this up. I'm gonna lift this all off. Not like double hinge there. Alright, bring these around. Gonna fold that silver part against the blue part. Now these are gonna swing inward until they kind of click in place. Alright, now you want to swing these panels out, kind of put them together like so. Same thing here. Alright, just like that. Now you want to separate the grill like that. Open it up. Don't know my own strength. Pull the hood away from the windshield there. Alright, now we're gonna take these panels right here, swing them out, and you're kind of making them pass by the lower panels. Click these into place. The same thing on this side. Click it into place. Now I want to get Optimus's head out of here, so you just push this in, flip it up, so you get his head. Then swing the faux windows into place here. I just feel crooked. This isn't locking in all the way. Haven't really had this issue before that I'm aware of. That's weird. Alright, anyway. Now these lower panels, you're just gonna swing them both all the way into his back. Make some clearance for it. These bits you're gonna swing upward, like so. You're gonna swing them in. You're gonna tab this like shoulder bit in right here. Goes in all the way. There you go. Do the same thing here. There we go. Now on the back here. swing this part in. Right, and then the little backpack bit, just swing down, tab it into the grill like so. Secure that in there. And the last bits we're doing, let's swing his waist at 180 there. Then you're gonna fix his shoulder panels, and then lastly transform his forearms. Kind of swing these out like that. Flip the hands up, bring this around, tab it in right there. Same thing here. We're almost done. I'm just gonna go ahead, look behind him. These wheels you're gonna swing up. Make sure this part pegs into the back of his thigh. And swing this wheel up until it tabs into a slot. It's right there. And then this bit, up until it also clicks into place. Tab this guy in. That. And now we have Optimus Prime's robot mode. So now you can take his weapon, and there is a storage space for it. It's not called out in the instructions, but if you take this tab, put it in this hole right here, it fits like perfectly in that little alcove there between the two, I guess, wings you'd call them. And this does seem to be the intended way to store it, though they don't show you how to do it. You just got to kind of figure it out. So that's cool if you don't want him having to hold the weapon. Or just go ahead and plug it into his fist, make him wield it, and look awesome doing so. There you have it. You got Optimus Prime ready for battle. One thing worth noting is his little ab piece here detaches. It's just kind of slotted in, and it slides out quite easily, revealing all this underneath the two slots there. And this is a transparent piece of plastic that's just kind of painted over in red. And this will become important when it comes time to combine it with Jetfire. Just something we'll take a look at in the follow-up video to this. Here's Optimus's backdrop, and it is the highway battle scene from the first Transformers movie, where he goes toe-to-toe with Bone Crusher and they just wreak all sorts of havoc. So go ahead, place them up here in either mode, though I think robot works best for this one since, you know, they were in the middle of fighting in this scene. And it creates for a very cool backdrop and a call out to one of the more memorable scenes in the first Transformers movie. It's kind of cool having Optimus just standing there defiantly as, you know, chunks of highway and signs are just kind of crumbling around him. Really highlights the brutal warrior that movieverse Optimus Prime is. Alright, and here's the first Optimus again for robot mode comparison. And the robot mode is where the differences become much more obvious between the two molds. Right off the bat, first thing you'll probably notice is this whole chest area is completely different, with the new Optimus's chest being much more accurate to the in-movie model than this. This was actually one of my biggest gripes with the original toys, just how very odd his windshield pecs ended up looking, and you know, this much more shrunk down version of his abs, more spaced apart, and just looks kind of weird. Then the next thing you might notice is the backpack. It's completely different between the two of them. And again, the new Optimus has one that does much more closely resemble the character's CGI model. You'll also see that the thigh kibble is quite different, and the way that transforms is very different between the two. And then the fender bit here is interesting because it's actually more accurate looking on the old toy than is the new one, where here it's kind of collapsed down, creates a smaller bit of kibble that only, you know, protrudes around his ankle instead of all the way up his like shin. So this one's actually more accurate in that regard. And I think the reason the change was made was because of the introduction of this 5mm port, which is used for his combination gimmick. And then having that in there, I guess, made it impossible to have a hinge in that spot to get this bit to fold down. So they just kind of remolded it as one solid piece, which is a shame, but apparently just had to be done. The other real notable difference are the shoulder pads. They've been remolded to have these slots in them on the new Optimus, and that again is owed to the combination gimmick. But yeah, it's really interesting to see how they could take a mold and alter it so radically to where it changes the very foundation of the transformation, especially in the upper body area. The whole arm assemblies are just completely different between these two. A lot of the parts have been redone to revamp the transformation and give him, in the end, a much more screen accurate look. Despite all the changes, he still does have fake windows for his chest, which is something I'm never a fan of. I do hate when you have to have fake kibble there. The leader class toy actually manages to pull off a transformation and keep the actual windows on his chest, so it is a shame they couldn't do it at this scale. But I can't imagine the logistics of that wouldn't be very great. Studio Series 32 can wield the swords that Studio Series 5 can, despite the altered forearm kibble. And in fact, actually kind of looks better doing it because the blades kind of look like they tuck away inside of the kibble now, which leads to the illusion that they would, flip out from inside like they would do in the movie. So that's pretty cool. You can basically just give this guy the old Prime swords and have him replace them entirely. The only downside is that you can't store them on his back anymore. They don't have the clearance to make that happen, which is a total shame. The parts just aren't compatible at all, so you don't have the option of storing them away. They can even be stored on his back kibble if you'd like, though unfortunately not at the same time as his gun because they don't give enough clearance to actually attach. But hey, still pretty cool. You can always have him storing one weapon and brandishing the other. So yeah, that's really cool. I don't know if it was intended that way, to have these to be able to slot into these little wing appendages, but it is convenient. It does make him look extra kibbly, but hey, maybe you can spin it as him having some sort of his own flight mode, right, with little wings. And that completes part 1 of our look at Studio Series 32 Optimus Prime. Part 2 is going to be kind of a shared continuation between this review and the Jetfire review. So that'll be filmed, after both of the individual reviews are completed. So stay tuned for that. I am eager to show off the Jetwing Prime combiner to you guys. But my final thoughts on this guy, I think overall he is a big improvement over the first version of the mold. I think his colors are better. I think the tweaks to his overall appearance, specifically in the upper area, make him much more accurate and just nice to look at. The backwards compatibility with the swords from the first mold is a really nice touch. It does allow you to just kind of claim this guy as your quintessential movie Optimus. And then the fact that he was redesigned specifically to combine with Jetfire, I think just makes him much more useful as a toy overall. If you don't already have either version of this toy, I would just say skip the first one, go straight for this guy. I think you're going to be much more satisfied with the way the toy looks and transforms overall, and then the fact that if you do get Jetfire, you'll be able to combine them for a very cool super mode. I think that just really makes this toy an easy purchase. As of the time of recording this, he's currently starting to make his way out to shelves on Targets and I think some Walmarts, along with his Wavemate Bone Crusher, who I'll be reviewing shortly. If you can find one and you don't have Optimus yet, or you don't mind double dipping for a better version, I think he's worth the asking price. This is so far my favorite version of an Optimus Prime toy, barring possibly the leader class, Revenge of the Fallen Prime. Still have a hard time letting that guy go. But the fact that this one scales so much better with other movieverse Transformers, especially ones in the Studio Series line where scale is so emphasized, I think maybe just make him a little more worth your money than the old leader class. Plus, bit of a spoiler, the new Jetwing Optimus mode that you get with the new versions of him and Jetfire is far superior to the old one. But you'll all get to see that soon enough. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and end it right here. Hope you enjoyed this look at Optimus. Stay tuned for part 2, where I go ahead and combine it with Jetfire. If you did like this, feel free to give the video a thumbs up. If you want to see more toy reviews like this one or any of my other Transformers related content, be sure to hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you always get notified when I post something new. And with all that said, I will see you guys next time.